information. Hopefully they'll watch this video, but they said, hey, we just got a red-nosed pit bull, and she plays with dogs, but then she gets too carried away, and then it doesn't go very well. What's the best way to socialize our dog with other dogs? What's the best way to have our dog, learn how to succeed socializing? And believe it or not, folks, this kind of goes back to a saying, I've told myself many times, I've told my clients many times, and that's excellence is mastery of the basics. So what does that mean? That means when you have a dog and you want something excellent, right? Like I want to be able to control the dog or communicate with the dog when they're very excited and they're playing with other dogs. I think that's a pretty lofty goal. I think that's a pretty excellent goal. I mean, that's a high level of training. Hey, I can coach my dog when they're playing with dogs, and I can let my dog know, hey, take it easy, don't do that. And whether you've got a dog that is getting too crazy and becoming aggressive, or a dog that just doesn't know how to play with dogs and is failing, that reality is that you can coach dogs socially to change the way they play with dogs. Now, to do that, you're going to have to master certain basic things. Now, one helpful thing, a basic thing to master would be recall. So on a very simple level, I would train my dog, and if I had a bully breed or a dog I was struggling with, I might need a remote collar. I might need to watch some videos on YouTube on how to train the dog with a remote collar with food or a toy. I get that dog trained on the remote collar, and then when they're playing, I can say, hey, stop doing that, come back here. Or like even when they are playing, like they're playing, and then I go, hey, come back. Okay, go back to playing. Okay, come back. Okay, go back to playing. Okay, come back. Go back to playing. And just by breaking it up and having the dog pause, I can stop the dog from going into a crazy level of arousal. Or I can actually, if the dog has been trained with the remote and conditioned, eventually I can tell them, whoa, man, like, stop doing that. Stop getting that excited. Stop biting or whatever you're doing, stop. And the dog will understand. Now, if somebody doesn't want to go down the route of the remote collar for whatever reason, or maybe they want to start with more basic stuff, a high drive dog like a pit bull or any sort of high drive dog, you need to play with them. And when you're playing with them with a tug toy, start teaching them, hey, that's too crazy. I'm not playing with you anymore. Whoa, I'm done. I'm not playing. I'm leaving. And start helping them to understand, hey, even when I play with the dog with a toy, I help the dog understand, hey, man, there's certain rules when we're playing. And if you're not trying to play with me and you're just going crazy and you're targeting my hands or my clothes, like, I'm not playing with you. Now, I might need to have a leash on the dog. I might need to have a slip lead on the dog. I might need to have the dog tied to something at first because they're so crazy. There's no way to control them. And they're going to start biting and getting more crazy the more I make that toy hard to get or I stop the play. They're going to get frustrated and go, no, keep playing with me. So to go over what I've talked about, right? How do you succeed socializing the dog? Remote collar, train the dog and get that dog very solid on their remote collar, where you've practiced recalling them away from a lot of things when they're excited. And then eventually you start doing that around dogs, The second thing is through gameplay, playing tug, playing fetch, you teach the dog, hey, there's certain rules and all this stuff. You can watch remote collar training videos on my YouTube. You can watch how to play with the dog on my YouTube playlist, play. Okay, the third thing I would suggest is you have to find that perfect mentor dog that can match your dog's personality and that your dog respects. You have to socialize a dog that's too pushy with a dog that they're going to be able to take cues from or take corrections from, or have that dog set a boundary and go, no, you're not doing that. And the dog is going to be like, oh, okay. So it may take several dogs, or you may only find one dog that your dog can successfully play with, and the play gets excited play, and then it calms down, and then, the one dog can tell your dog, hey man, like, knock it off, don't play that way, and also show them, here's a better way to play. So if you're struggling with a crazy high drive breed, and you're uncomfortable or unsure or unscared or scared, okay, remote collar, train the dog so you have control over them off leash, using food or toys, and yes, eventually using corrections to tell the dog, stop doing that, not okay. Okay, but realize you're first going to want to master all of this without a dog present. Just out off leash with your dog, it's chasing a squirrel, you tell them not to do it. You don't ever want to put a dog that doesn't understand socialization around other dogs and doesn't understand the remote collar and start applying high levels. They might think the other dog's biting them, okay? So anyways. Second thing, teach the dog how to play with a toy. Teach them out. Teach them to let go when you say let go. Teach them to stop when you say stop, and teach them to go when you say go, and then cool down with them at the end. Watch my videos on structured play. And the third thing I would say is try to find one dog that can help coach that dog how to play, and help show them the right way. If somebody says, Eric, I can't do the remote collar, and somebody says, Eric, I can't do the play with toys, and Eric, I can't find that one mentor dog, then don't bring your dog around dogs, guys. A dog doesn't need dog friends. There are some dogs that are fine not having any friends with dogs their entire life. They're completely content. There are some dogs, especially pit bulls, that just love people, and they're so enamored with their people, they don't really care if they don't have a dog to play with. And if you could just explain to them through training, hey man, you're not saying hi to dogs because you don't do good with dogs, and so we're just not saying hi to dogs, period. That's a lot easier sometimes to just accept, hey, the amount of work it would take to put in to get this dog to socialize is not worth it, or I don't have the time. I'm just going to get my dog to focus on being neutral around dogs, walking by dogs calmly. And that's the other thing too. If you're struggling with dog reactivity and your dog's looking at dogs crying, whining, barking, and wanting to say hi, first master the walk and master having your dog pay attention to you with a dog far away. But if you're not able to get the dog to pay attention to you around distractions, oftentimes as trainers, that's what we're actually seeing is the source of all problems. Your dog's distracted. They don't know how to pay attention to you around distractions. Without treats, a toy, the prong collar, the remote collar, the halty, the slip lead, there's no reason they're going to pay attention to you around distractions. So if you have a distracted dog, the solution is not socializing the dog. The solution is training that dog through training collars and rewards to say, hey man, it's much more in your best interest to pay attention to me. And when we go places and you're looking around for things to play with, not good. In fact, my own dog, I purposefully did not socialize her with dogs for almost 2 years, except at my property and with the dogs that I lived with, because I didn't want her going out in public looking for dogs to play with. And so I would take her out and play with her with a toy. And now anytime I take her anywhere, if I have a toy, she doesn't care about anything. If at any point in time I tell her, hey, you want to play? She comes running over to play. But if I had taken her out and let her drag me around because she wanted to say hi to dogs for a year or two, I wouldn't have the level of engagement I have with her now. So hopefully those things helped. If it did help, like the video, subscribe. I appreciate it. And if you want more help, want me to make videos to help you guys, I'm happy to make content to help people for free. Remember, as always, we don't blame them, we train them, and if we love them, we lead them. Okay, folks, I'll see you then. Take care.